Hey, welcome to Boston Logan. I hope you are having a great start to your week. Thanks for coming in. And there it is. There is the E-Jet from Flight Sim Studios. And it's looking pretty good. Hello and welcome to the channel. My name is Dave. Welcome if you are new. This is the Spy Flight over here on YouTube, and this is where I try and do as complete of a flight as I possibly can, with the idea if you're new to this flight sim thing and you want to try and take on some of these big jets and stuff, maybe I can help you out just a little bit. At least that's the goal here. And this is the new E-Jet. This is from Flight Sim Studios. This has been in early release for a while. You've probably seen these at your local airport. They have those little, I don't know, kind of long little winglets there. And this is sort of the new commuter jet that a lot of airlines are starting to go and start flying. I've been on this only twice. It was Denver to Austin and back. They've actually since replaced those with Airbus on that route. So right now we're taking a real world flight, and this is going to be Boston down to Newark. So let's talk a little bit about what's going to happen here. First of all, we'll talk a little about the Embraer E175. This is a full cold and dark flight. We'll be loading the airplane using the EFB. I use Navigraph, Simbrief, and Volanta. Sometimes I use SkyVector. I also will be using the FAA Digital ATIS website for this flight. Let's talk a little bit about the airplane, my initial impressions and all. First of all, this is a new airplane. It is still in early release. That means there are bugs, and this airplane does have a fair few. That being said, the spy pilots who fly with me over on Twitch say that this airplane's been getting some regular updates. So the developer is swatting bugs and making it better and better. So I've only had it for a couple of weeks right now, so I haven't seen any updates lately, but I would expect that somewhere on the way. Now then, all that being said, I do not think this airplane is ready for a big VATSIM event. There are a couple of limitations in the flight management computer, which means we can't do some of the things that VATSIM expects us to do in a big event. That being said, I did take it from Denver to Aspen on VATSIM, and even just doing a direct to a waypoint that was not in the flight plan didn't work out so well. Fortunately, the controller was being really nice. Could be a really good airplane. I think it could be a really good airplane. I think the developers, they're moving slow, but they're doing a good job, and it keeps getting better and better. I also think this is a good airplane because this is the kind of airplane that a new airliner pilot might be their first job. So most of them are going to be our CRJ or something, but this might be a new pilot's first airplane. So I think that is really good for flight simulator. And there you go. That is my take on the current state of the Embraer. I think it's a fun airplane, and I actually kind of have a good time playing with it. First timer, if this is your first flight with me here on YouTube, the whole goal here is for you to fly along with me. So hit pause on the video. You can restart and rewind videos here on YouTube, which is a lot easier than over on Twitch. So if I do something that you didn't quite catch, you'll be able to look back and see, okay, what button did he push again? That kind of deal. So stop the video, load up the airplane, and fly along with me. Now, the runways and the weather might be different because this is recorded, and your weather might be a little bit different, but most of it's going to be about the same. I also do like to suggest that you do a hometown flight a few days after the one we do here, just to kind of help you remember all of the things that we're going to be yapping about on this flight. And also, please join us on Twitch for the spy flights. Every flight on Twitch, every spy flight on Twitch is a group flight, so everybody gets to fly. Our route today is Boston to Newark. This is a real-world E175 flight departing off of runway 9 in Boston. PATSS 6 departure, and then this is basically a SID to star arrival. We're doing Flossie 4 into Newark's runway 04. Cruise level is flight level 220. This is only about 1 hour and 10 minutes gate to gate. Flight distance is 287 miles, and as I mentioned, we are going to basically, we're following a real-world flight. And the real-world flight is departing out of the gate that we are at right now. We are at Boston Logan. This is gate Bravo 28. 28, where the real-world flight is due to depart in just about an hour or so as of the time that I'm recording this video. We will be coming into Charlie 99. So already have what I call my stack of charts all ready to go. Here's Navigraph, and you see along the bottom, all the charts are stacked up in the order that I'm going to need them. So you start off with your parking gates chart, and we are at Boston Logan, gate 28, right in here in Terminal B. So after that, we're going to be taxiing out of here, probably push back onto Alpha, Alpha to Echo, Echo to Mike, to runway 9, and then we blast off on the PATSS departure. So PATSS departure on runway 9, our first waypoint is Claw. Got to be above 4,000 feet and 250 knots. Then we make a turn to Fenway, and then we kind of come around here. So Fenway takes us to Gillett and Weymouth and Dedham, and then all the way out to PATSS. And so that's kind of our departure. Our initial top altitude until instructed by ATC is 5,000 feet. Then after PATSS, we're going to be going direct to a waypoint called NELIE. And then NELIE, we're going to pick up the Star, which is the Flossie arrival. So we come in here at NELIE, be below 16,000 feet. And then there's Flossie over there. After Flossie, we come all the way down here to Hawker after Filbo. And then it's going to be radar vectors. So after Hawker, we turn to a heading of 180 and then come on out here. And then this is going to take us straight on in. And then we'll vector ourselves around for the ILS to runway 04 right. As we have a look over here, 4 right is really nice because we could get off here on the Juliet taxiway, cross 4 left, and then go right on into the gate area. And the real world flight is parking at Charlie 99. So Charlie 99 is right over here. So there's Juliet, Romeo Golf in here, and then right on into our gate. So this is a really convenient first flight for us. So I think not so bad. Our alternate is Washington Dulles. And with that, I think it's time to hop into the airplane and start doing airplane things. This is the fun part. And that's all the preliminary stuff. So if you just like to hear thoughts about the airplane and the basics, that's the video. The rest of it is going to be the full flight. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm using GSX. So let's go ahead and get ourselves a jetway because, I don't really think that we're going to be able to, jump all the way over to the airplane. Like most airplanes, when a jetway approaches your main door, it will automatically open your front door for you. So that's kind of good as the jetway kind of moves around. There it is. There goes the door opening right there. And there we go. And as usual, sometimes the jetway kind of, invades it occupies the same space at the same time as the airplane. So most of the time it keeps getting better and better. Okay, let's sit here in the best seat in the house. And the first thing that I usually do is come on over to the electronic flight bag. And if you can go to flight details and you can add your flight. And you can, if you enter your SimBrief ID, it will go to SimBrief and get your flight. So we're going to wait for that kind of loop-de-loop around there like that. And we're going to loop-de-loop around there. This one does take a little bit of time, but eventually it says, SimBrief data import success, and check it off. And then you can check it again, and all sorts of really great information starts to show up in the airplane for you. So it's going to give you a pilot's name, a cruising altitude, scheduled time of departure. And by the way, the airplane itself does want you to depart on time. So this is going to give you on-time departure stuff here. Okay, we'll look down here and we can look at the departure itself. And there is our date. We're in Boston. I'm sorry. And we know we're going to be going off of runway 9. The condition here at runway 9 is dry. Now then, there is this little recycle button, and it will go and get you a METAR. I have kind of found, though, that the METAR is a little bit out of date here. So one of the things that I like to do is go over and use Digital ATIS, and link in the description for you. Hit refresh here at Boston, and this gives you an ATIS for us. So right now the wind is 050 at 13, 10 miles visibility, it's 15 degrees, the altimeter is 3022. So what do we have here? The wind here, according to this, is 040. So I'm going to go ahead and change this to 050. And it is 13 knots. So again, this seems to be a little bit old. I don't know. 15 degrees. It's warming up. And the altimeter, it put us into QNH. We're going to go inches of mercury, 3022, and enter. And there we go. All right, so all of this is now basically in. Then it's time to load the airplane. But before we do that, they usually have the airplane turned on. So one of the things I'm going to do is go ahead and just go and check my USB controls. Are my throttles in good shape? They are. And the speed brake is not active. The flap lever works. The gear lever is down. The parking brake is engaged. So all of that looks good. The jetway is still in place. So I just like to go and move these things around, make sure that all the controls. You can see my nose wheel tiller's a little jittery right now. Unfortunately, my side stick is getting a little old, so I'm gonna probably have to get a new one soon, unless there's a way that I can clean it all up. Okay, so we got interesting things here. I just clicked something and it disappeared. I don't know what I clicked there. Uh-oh. Eek. What did I do? I moved something over here and I don't know what it was. Oh, we also have coffee cups here. What could that have been? Let's see. It's no longer there. Oh, sun visor. I think I may have gotten a sun visor. So let's see. Is there a sun visor out and around? I might have clicked a sun visor. So maybe there's sun visors that you get to use. Oh, there's something over there maybe. Okay. All right. So you learned something new today. Or at least I did. Let's see here. The only other thing is let's turn power on the airplane. Pretty simple for these airplanes. So let's go over here to battery 1 and battery 2. So those batteries are going on. We're going to come down here and the airplane comes preloaded. The nav lights are already on. So we're going to go ahead and leave that on. We're going to fuel the airplane so no smoking can go on too. So all of those are pretty good. And then if we come over here, we could also flip on the APU at the moment. See, is ground power up? Yep, we do have ground power. Let's use that for a little bit. And ground power is now in use. So all of that is good. And this is about it. This is about all I'll do. You could also come over here and adjust backlighting. So there's the overhead panel. And these are click and drag kinds of controls. So all of that's good. Okay, so that looks really good. Let's come on down here. And it does look like we have individual controls here for each flight management computer, which is nice. So we can go over here to the FPL flight plan. And if you do have Navigraph data, it does show the Navigraph data has been, is current. So May to June, so that's great. Let's go ahead and hit the route, RTE. We are in Boston. We are going to Newark. So it already knows that we are in Boston. So KEWR is our arrival. Now, I have heard that there is a way to download flight plans. I don't know how to do that yet. So I haven't done that, but our flight plan today is really not that involved. So, manually entering the flight plan like this is not that big of a deal. Flight ID, we are flying as United Airlines. And I'm just going to use my standard call sign, which is 441. And that's what I know there. So now we can go and do our departure. And we go and do runway. And we are departing off of runway 9. We are doing the PATSS departure. And that's it. There's no other transition, so we'll apply that. And there it is, PATSS. Let's now after this, so if we had waypoints along the way, you would type in the waypoint, click it in, and then just paste it in over Newark. So if we were going a longer distance, we could do that. Otherwise, now we're just going to do the arrival. And we are expecting that we are going to be coming into Newark on 04 right. So 04 right, we are going to use an ILS. And let's see. The Newark approach transition, I believe, is Kilma. This is why I get my charts ready to go. And let's see. No, we do not want, I don't think we're going to do the Kilma. We're not going to do that one. So we're not going to have either one of those. 039 course to Dewan. Yes, let's use this one. So what that means, if you look over here, there is this course here. So 039 would be the course over to Dewan. So I'm going to choose that one. And then we know that we're going to come in on the Flossie arrival. And it's going to be via NELIE. And there is our approach all the way in. So apply. And that's it. So there we go. Our flight plan is now pretty much set. Pretty cool. So if we click flight plan, you can see there's runway 9. There is one user checkpoint. So they've got those things in there, but I generally, usually I'm still hand flying. So, it'll be direct to Claw, Fenway, Gillett. And that looks good. PATSS and NELIE into Flossie and Filbo. There's another user checkpoint here. So we'll have to keep an eye out for that. Sometimes the user checkpoints get a little bit scary. And then right into the runway. So all that looks good. Looking great. Now we can go to our performance initialization. At this point, I usually go ahead and start flipping on the APU because we're getting ready to depart. Let's also come down here and you can load your airplane. And to load the airplane, you can hit either instant or real time. Time remaining 6 minutes and 52 seconds to load the plane. Airplane is loading. How about that? So with that, we'll come on over here and we can continue to do performance. And now you can also hear that the pneumatics are going. The air's blowing through the ducts. So we've got fresh air blowing through here. Okay, takeoff and landing fuel. So the way that I understand this right now is if you come over here and take a look, your takeoff fuel. So our fuel over here, we're block fuel for the whole flight is 4034 kgs. I do this airplane all in kgs. So takeoff fuel is going to be 3871 and landing fuel is final reserve and alternate, which is 1818. That's what I've been plugging in so far. I don't know if that's right. Those are the numbers I'm using. So takeoff fuel is 3871. So 3871. So that does not include the taxi out to the runway fuel. And then 1818, that's assuming we don't have to divert, go to an alternate or something like that. And so we plug that in there. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Let's look at the next page. Okay, cruise altitude, 22,000 feet is our cruise today. So 22,000 feet. Cruise winds, you get that off your flight plan if you're using the Lido style of charts like I am from SimBrief. My average winds are 276 degrees at 31 knots. So 276, right? Yeah. 276 at 31 knots. And that goes in there. Sorry about the sniff. I'm sorry to report that allergies have started to kick in here. So, zero fuel weight. Now then, come on over here, and you can see that we've got our runway 9 dry, flaps 2. We've already inputted this. Let's go hit the calculate button now. And then let's hit the manifest button. Now, all of a sudden, we're getting some interesting information here. Our zero fuel weight is 29718. So let's put in 29718 and enter. There we go. That's pretty cool. Takeoff center of gravity. Do we have that here? So gross takeoff weight. It should be, I think this says it should be 18.2. So 18.2. It says 17.2, and I haven't done this before. Nope, it doesn't take that, so don't do that one. So just clear that out, and all that seems to be good. So I think with that, we're good to go to page 3. And page 3, none of this is set up right now. This is econ, cruise speeds, and cost index. None of that seems to be set up yet. So we won't worry about that. Performance. And let's see, we've done performance init. Let's do takeoff. Runway heading is 077. I think our runway heading is 092. 092. Now, it could be that it's giving us magnetic as opposed to, but I'm going to just plug that in. Okay, that looks good. Runway slope, we don't put anything. This is where we can go dry, wet, or contaminated. And then the ATIS winds. The ATIS winds at Boston are 050 at 13. 050 at 13 knots. And that gives us a little wind report there. Let's look at page 2 on the takeoff init page. Flaps 2, takeoff CG, it says 19.0, that's close. The mode, flex 2, temperature, I haven't gotten any of these to work yet, so we'll go over here and hit the takeoff button. And V speeds for takeoff. V1's 125, 130 rotate, and that's all looking pretty good. So now that those are done, I'm going to come over here and put in a couple of things here in the autopilot. We're going to start with our heading on departure. And that's going to be, again, 092 degrees. So heading right now is this number down here. And they're real small, but here's the heading. So let's dial that up to 092. Now then, I've had a hard time getting this to do anything more than increments of 10. So for heading and stuff, that's kind of a bit of a problem right now. I don't know how to, do it, one degree at a time. So the closest I can get is 090. All right, with that, our initial climb clearance for the PATSS departure is 5,000 feet. So is this set? It's already set to flight level 050, so that's good. And then the next thing I'll do is put in V2, which is 134. So there's our speed. It says 150. Now, our speeds, you can click each individual number. So each thumb wheel click works pretty good. Okay, and so all of those seem to be nicely set. The yaw dampers are already on, so we don't have to worry about that. And everything seems to be relatively good at the moment. How's our passenger loading process going? Passengers are loaded. It's time to go. How about that? So this is looking good. Our departure is set for 13:35 Zulu. We can look down here at the clock, and it is 13:22, which means we really want to be pushing back and starting about 10 minutes before. So, nope, we got 2 minutes for push and start. So with that, we can go outside the airplane for a second, and let's get GSX to do some work for us. And what I'm going to do is now just prepare for pushback and departure. That's going to retract my jetway. It will close the door for me automatically. And that looks good. Doors are closed, and it's going to go ahead and get ready for pushback. Looking up here, let's do fasten seatbelts. We're also going to do the emergency exit lights. Ground power unit is now said that it's available. We're just going to leave it there. That just sort of stays on. You can't really turn it off or on or get rid of it at the moment. Our ground crew is walking on over. There's a ground crewman getting ready to walk over. Now, the ground crew doesn't go to the nose gear. It goes to the middle of the airplane, so they have to fine-tune that just a little bit. Okay, I usually come on over here to the map page.
Departure checks completed. Bypass pin inserted.
And click this thing again. I'm going to turn off nav aids. I'm going to turn on vertical performance. And we'll turn on TCAS even though we're not on VATSIM. With that, we'll come over here. I'm going to squawk 2000. So squawking 2000 on the transponder. And we're going to go from standby to TARA. So we could squawk mode Charlie on the taxiways. Our altimeter setting for departure today is 3022, so that's going to be over here. 3022. The click zones are a little bit squirrely right now, so you can easily change numbers around in a way that you might not want to. So just saying that might be an issue. Let's see, facing south on taxiway Alpha, spot B2. This is actually really pretty cool of GSX. Let's go ahead and facing south. Yeah, let's just do that. So facing south.
Release parking brakes, please.
Okay, I don't think that we have chocks. I think we're ready to go. Parking brakes are off.
Commencing push. All engines clear. Start at will.
And there goes our pushback. Like I said, over here, if you look at ground, I don't think that we have chocks or anything like that. So we'll just do our push. And with that, we are all engines clear for start. So let's see, I should have turned on the beacon for our pushback. So the red beacon should go on. Passengers are in their seats. We can also hit the sterile cockpit button too. So that looks good. And it's time to start. Starting this airplane is absolutely a breeze. Go down here, uncover it, and start. And that's going to start our first engine. And there goes engine number 1. It's starting to spin. If you're using GSX and you happen to see your crew chief like this, when the crew chief stops, that's a good indicator that GSX is going to stop your pushback. One of the things I like to do here is I will come over here and have flight tracking and zoom this map all the way in. If you don't know, you've seen these really great pictures of the map here. This is how you do it. Just a general map and zoom all the way in. And that's really pretty awesome. And there is a cabin sound that you hear. It's a little scratchy sound. I guess that's the way it's supposed to sound if you're in the cockpit. We got a good start on engine number 1. Starting 2. I think I turned myself the wrong way. Starting engine number 2. Now, real pilots are going to be good pilots. They're going to come over here and they're going to watch the oil pressure. See, we can go over here and do the backup altimeter 3022 and be a good pilot there. 3022. All right, that's good. And we're getting a good start on engine number 2. Oh, wow, I actually did set up the pushback to do it right. And now you can see our ground crew has stopped, so they're going to stop our push almost immediately.
Please set parking brakes.
And parking brakes are set. This works, the parking brakes work really good.
Confirmation for a good engine start.
The parking brakes work really good with the TCA Thrustmaster Airbus stuff, which is the one I use. So let's do GSX. And we're going to confirm a good engine start. And I'm going to hit the GSX button again just to kind of turn that off. Okay, all of this is looking good. 2 good starts on our engines. I'm going to go ahead and do APU off. I'm going to also, there is one button that you push over here. It's the electric pump. And we turn that on. So this is the only pump that I've seen that we turn off and on here. And everything else is looking pretty good. The APU is shutting down. It says that there is a flight control test in progress. That just stays on the whole flight. I don't know what it is that I've done to turn that off. You can look over here at the status page, and you can click it again, and you can hit flight controls. And then you can go and move your flight controls if that's part of it. Now, it also shows that the rudder is disconnected here right now. It's not green, so I don't understand that one at the moment either. You could also look at all the other systems. They're looking pretty good.
Right is clear.
But I'll usually just leave it over here on the map. And we're at about 12 miles out. And left is clear, right is clear. There goes our tug. And so we're going to wait for the crew chief to come on out and give us our salute and release from guidance. And we're actually doing an on-time departure too. So life is good there. I think the crew chief's going to probably come over on this side. There goes our crew chief. So walk out there. We're going to get two things. If you don't know, GSX is going to give you two things. First, the crew chief's going to hold up the gear pin. So there's the gear pin. Hi, see, I've removed the gear pin. Visual confirmation. And then the next thing is going to hold it up again and wave at us. And so that's our salute and release from guidance, saying, hey, nothing's under the airplane. You can start taxiing around. There's no obstructions. And we'll wave back and say, thank you very much. And we're going to have a sip of coffee. And it is time to taxi. Shall we go? Okay, so looking up here, we're going to go ahead and do nose and side lights. We're going to go and everything's looking pretty good there. Yep, I think that's great. No problems. I think we're ready to go. What could possibly go wrong? So look down here. Parking brakes are going off. Toe brakes are going on, just so that, you know, we don't start rolling around until we look back up. Parking brakes are off. And then if you look out a side window, you can see the airplane does start to move when you start your taxi. The flap lever, if you're using the Thrustmaster flaps, Thrustmaster Airbus, so my first click is flaps 2. That's the one that we use for takeoff. So that seems to be good. Auto brakes to RTO. Pitch trim, where do we find that? If you look over here, pitch trim, 3.7 right there. So you set this down here, 3.7. Trim is now set for takeoff. How about that? You can use a nose wheel tiller or the what's the word I'm looking for? Or the rudder pedals. And this is pretty good. Now then, I don't think we have integrated checklists with this airplane yet. So I don't think there's integrated checklists. I think, let's see, do we put it in takeoff mode? No, that's auto throttle disconnect. And here is our taxiway to the runway. It's going to be a little bit on the breezy side on our departure. So far, so good. This seems to be going pretty good. Okay, we're going to go over to taxiway Mike. Crossing 4 left. So flaps are set. I think all is right with the world. Actually, we will engage the auto throttle too before we take off. I'm probably a little bit old-fashioned on this one. For some reason, I don't really want to engage my auto throttle until I get closer to the runway, just because I'm, unreasonably afraid that the auto throttle will, start throttling while we're taxiing and stuff. That's probably ridiculous, but... And here we are at the runway. Again, I don't have a checklist on this one yet, so as soon as I get one of those, probably going to actually print it up and make it a nice little card. And parking brakes are set. So everything looks good. I think we're ready to go. The radio is over here. We're squawking mode Charlie. Everything looks good here. So we're going to go strobes onto a runway. Attendant call. Let them know that we're going to actually do a takeoff. That's a good thing to do. Still says that the flight control test is in progress. I don't know how to end that yet. It'll just stay on the whole flight. And parking brakes off. And out we go. AP auto throttle is now engaged, so I've got that ready to go. Might need to add just a little bit of pressure. Little bit of throttle to get us out the gate. The sounds in the cabin aren't really all that well set up yet, but it's getting better and better. So I'm sure that they've got somebody working on sounds and stuff, but right now it's usable. I don't mind doing a nice, gentle little taxi out here like this at thrust idle. Unless there's like 20 planes stacked up behind me, this is really pretty good. And out we go there. I think we're ready to go. What could possibly go wrong, right? Landing lights. And we're lined up. So throttle up about halfway or so. Let's take a look, make sure the engines are stable. Engines are stable. Throttle's up, the auto throttle should engage. Rudder pedals to steer. One of the things I really hope that the developers will do on this airplane is do airspeed callouts for takeoff. I do find it kind of hard to stay centered up on runways, V1 and rotate. Staying centered on a runway is kind of hard. Gear. I'm going to hit the nav button now. I forgot to do flight director. And let's get a little help from the AP as soon as we can. Make sure it doesn't put us into a dive of death, which it appears to be doing. It's trying to speed up again. Let's see if it recovers. Are you going to recover? Are you going to kill us? Uh-oh. So let's go ahead and start adding a little bit of speed here. Nope, it's still killing us. The autopilot appears to be killing us. Let's turn that off. So that is either me not doing it right or something else. Let's go ahead and bring the speed up here to 250 and try it again. Actually, no, it's, what was it, 220? Flaps up. Shall we try it again? And nav. LNAV is active. And let's try AP again, see if it's going to kill us again. Nope, it's trying to kill us again. Not good. AP is off. Not so good, huh? Let's see, what was the speed on departure? It was 220, I believe. No, max 250. Okay, so we can go to do 250. Well, that was a little bit concerning. So let's go ahead and kick that up to 250. We are at claw. There's 250. The auto throttle is working for us. There's claw. Let's start our turn. Are we direct to claw? No, we should be past claw. Now we're direct to Fenway. Shall we try this again? We're climbing nicely. Let's see what happens. AP. Let's increase our altitude, 17,000 feet. That's usually what we get going out. We are direct Fenway. The autopilot is not trying to kill us. Flaps are up. Speed's trying to go up too. And let's do flight level change. That seems to make this airplane the happiest. There we go. Flight level change. Maybe that was the button I forgot to push. And now we are direct to Fenway. The speed's coming up. And we seem to not be in a dive of death anymore. So, success, right? Now, my guess is that part of what's going on is there's some bugs with the airplane, but equally, another part of this may very well be that I just don't know what I'm doing in an E-Jet yet. But if the autopilot's trying to kill you, disengage it and fly by hand. We seem to be doing pretty good now. Okay, gear is up, flaps are up. All of that looks good. Let's turn off the taxi lights. And now we are direct to Gillett, passing 8,000 feet for 17. Our speed is good at 250 or thereabouts. And if we need a little confirmation, we can come over here and see that, oh, there we are. There is Fenway, and out we go. And then I'll usually start to zoom this map out a little bit and use that to try and keep an eye on how's the flight going. There's 10,000 feet. I usually will kick my speed up if I have to manage my own speed. And there is no really good speed and stuff, so I'm going to go to 280. By the way, I planned for Mach 0.77. I did not use a cost index when I was doing flight planning. And let's also click the center of heading select. That will put the bug all the way up at the top for us. As we continue the turn, there's 11,000 feet. ATC says climb and maintain final cruise, 22,000. Okay, so far so good. Now there is no LNAV. There is LNAV, there is no VNAV. So that means as far as descent, you're on your own. We do not have a top of descent indicator here. There's 280, climbing like a rocket. We'll do cabin call and turn off sterile cockpit. And out we go. So, success, right? Still don't know how to turn off flight control test at the moment. Everything else down here is looking good. Speed brakes are down, flaps are up. Auto throttle seems to have us pretty good at the moment. Let's reset that heading bug selector again. Always like to keep that pointed straight up if possible. And over here, I'm gonna now go, takeoff is done. So I'm going to go and hit the progress page over here. We are 174 miles out of Newark. Estimated fuel for landing is 1092. If you look over here at your flight plan, our final reserve and alternate is 1818. So our fuel seems to be really good. We're right where we're supposed to be, and it's actually climbing. So we're good. We're not going to be running out of gas or anything at the moment. Passing 18,000 feet, we're going to come over here to baro set and standard altimeter. And let's see. From what I understand, this actually also controls the first officer. So standard altimeter here, and I believe that that sets the altimeters and stuff for the first officer. So that takes care of those for you. Passing 19,000 feet, 280 knots. I'm going to go ahead and let the speed go up to about 310 for our cruise. There's 19,000. Reset my heading bug as I usually do. And everything so far is so good. Hey, we didn't scratch the paint or anything. Haven't scratched the paint. Oh, past 10,000 feet, I should have done my landing lights too. Haven't scratched the paint or anything. And it's looking pretty good. A number of airlines are starting to use these, so you can fly your favorite commuter airline. And there it is. It looks like it's stopping us at 21. We're going to flight level 220. So there's 21. It looks like it's stopping us at 21. That could be a constraint, but I didn't think that this airplane knew those. I don't think there's a real constraint on there, so 22,000. It should continue us continue our flight out. So still kind of making this airplane up as we go. Flight level 220, and it's stopping us at 21. What's all this say? Let's hit flight level change and see what happens again. Let's see if it takes us up to 22,000 feet. It stopped us at 20. I don't know if there was a constraint in there or not. Again, I didn't think this airplane did that. Yep. Are you going to stop us at 22 or take us up to the moon? It's 21.5. Yep, looks like it's going to stop us at 22, so I had to hit that button again. We can also start increasing that speed a little bit. So there's 290. And I just generally like to do things slowly, you know, increments of 10, especially with an airplane that is not fully developed yet. Not make it go through too many gymnastics. And how about another 10? So now there's 300 knots. I'm telling it to hold for us. And settling into 22,000 feet, so that's good. So an extra button push needed. Auto brakes did disengage after takeoff, so that was good. Now then, I just leave the throttles here until I need them. Auto throttle seems to have us, but that's where I leave it. Right now it's running us at about 81%. There's 22,000 feet. How about another 10 here on the speed? 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 310 knots. And that puts us up a little bit below the barber pole there. And that should be a nice cruise speed for us. And life is good. Shows us landing in Newark at 1432 Zulu. We're 149 miles away. Now then, this does do some sort of an auto-tuning for you, yet it has not auto-tuned yet for me at all. So our ILS for the runway is 108.7 with an inbound course of 039. So I'm going to go ahead and see where there's a backup. So 108.70. I'm going to put that in the standby frequency just to have it ready to go. Okay. We also have a minimums. So for minimums, it's set to Barrow. Let's go ahead, and this is a short flight. I tend to try and get these things done quickly on a short flight, especially in the East Coast and if I'm on VATSIM, because you run out of time awfully fast. So minimums are 211 feet. So here's minimums. And there's the Barrow. And it does this in increments of 10. So 210 is about as close as I think I'm going to get. And there's the Barrow set for landing. As far as the heading, you can change your course, but I think you have to be out of, let's see, will this change anything? No, course won't change until we're doing heading hold mode. That's okay. And 22,000 feet. We are direct to NELIE. So as we take a look at the approach, since we have to do it ourselves, I'm going to come on here. There is NELIE, and we have to be below 16,000 feet. Okay, so we're at 22,000 feet right now. We're 44 miles from NELIE and below 16,000 feet. So math, 22,000 minus 16,000 times 3 divided by 1,000 means I need 18 miles to do this. And that is an incredibly rough number. We have 42 miles to go to NELIE. How about 25 to 30 miles? We'll start a descent down to 16,000 feet. Okay? That's about as close as I think we can do that. I don't try and preset altitudes here. I don't think this can handle it yet. It might start descending us right now, and I don't want to descend. Oh, and by the way, I also don't usually do flight level change. That's putting me into a dive of death. I use vertical speed right now. Vertical speed seems to be my bud. at the moment for trying to do a descent. And looking good. We are 36 miles from NELIE. I'm reading that up here. Now we can also come up here and hit the VL button. And VL is what switches to VORs and FMSs. So that's how you do it. That's how you switch those. And as you can see, it kind of started turning me a little bit here. Uh-oh. We're not going to NELIE anymore. That's good because we need to go back into nav mode. Okay. See, playing with the buttons. But this kind of helps you figure these things out. And this will put us back on course. 31 miles from NELIE. 16,000 is our descent. Oh, that was just a little turn for traffic spacing, right? That'll work. Turn for traffic spacing. Let's see here. I don't think TCAS works, so these buttons down here, there is a checklist button. That doesn't work yet. I'm sure that is part of their plan for what's next and new. Okay, so we're slightly off course. This is going to probably get us back on course just fine. And we're 26 miles from NELIE. I said 25. So let's go ahead and put an altitude in of 16,000 feet. So 160. There's 25. So I'm going to go ahead and start by reducing my speed. And I'm going to reduce my speed. I usually like to do a descent at about 290 here, especially here in the East Coast, because they want you to move unless they give you a speed. So there's our speed to 290. That looks good. Come on over here. Hit the vertical speed button, and then you dial it down. Put the you dial your thumb wheel down on this, and we are now doing a vertical speed descent of 700 feet per minute. So let's come on over here and down. There's 900 feet per minute. That's pretty good to start. Pretty good for a start. And we're starting to center up our course again, so we're heading back to NELIE. Excuse me again for all the sniffles and stuff as allergy season, plus we got wildfire smoke outside too, so definitely all sorts of sniffing. And we're doing pretty good at the moment. Now then, we do have this little guy here. So we do have what's called vertical performance. So there's NELIE right there, and there is 12 miles. NELIE's just beyond 12 miles, and you can see our little line stops at 12 miles. So that's kind of a good indicator to me that we're going to be close to 16,000 feet by NELIE. Now, that might be a little bit general, but I think right now with the airplane the way it is, that's probably pretty good. Got a little bit of wing flap here. Again, it's really kind of quiet. The cabin itself is actually pretty nice. You can see seatbelts do work. So let's see, we come over here and I think you do fasten seatbelts. Let's see if that works. Yep, see, the seatbelt sign works. That's kind of cool. I realize that's a sort of a dorky thing for, you know, flight simulation and stuff, but when you go back and see that the seatbelt sign works, it's okay. There is internal lighting. We have the dome lighting here. There's the dome light that does tend to make things pretty bright in this airplane, but it does work. So if you're having a hard time seeing stuff, that's a good thing. Okay, so now we're past that 12 miles and the little green line is extended. So I'm going to go and click it down another click so that we're closer to being below 16,000 feet at NELIE. There was no speed restriction there. So about 1,300 feet per minute. 1,500 feet per minute. There's NELIE right there at about 7 miles. So the little green line is showing us closer. So, you know, close. Let's go ahead and do weather. So come on over here. Again, I'm in the US, so I can use digital ATIS. So Newark, KEWR. And I usually will just hit an extra refresh. Newark ATIS information alpha. Runway 4 left is still good. And everything's looking good to go there. So let's come on down here. And we're going to go to performance. Descent, there isn't a lot to do with descent right now. I don't think that works. So landing. Okay, we don't have anything there. So landing init. Aha. Runway heading. So our runway heading for the for 4 right is 039 degrees. 039. Okay, the temperature according to the ATIS is 21 degrees. 21 degrees. The wind according to the ATIS is 040 at 5 and a slash 05. Okay, so we're going to do full flaps, no icing, and I think that's about as good as we go there. So let's hit landing, and look at that. It gave us our VAP speed. 128, I always add a little bit, so we're going to call it 130. No, 120, yeah, 130, 135. Passing 17,000 feet, we've passed NELIE, so we kind of missed it, but we're close. Let's also set the altimeter, which is 3017. 3017. Whoops. 3017. There we go, and I think we do need to set this one here. So 3017 here, and that'll set the first officer. There we go. So altimeters are set at 18,000 feet. Let's also go and start slowing this plane down. So I'm going to go down and reduce my speed to 280, 270. By now, ATC would be slowing us down big time. There's 16,000 feet. We're a little bit beyond NELIE here. So if we take a look over here on the approach, on Flossie, there we are. So NELIE, we have Kingston, Flossie, 7,000 feet at crank. So our next altitude is 7,000 feet at crank. Over here, I'm going to go put flight plan on this one now. There's crank. So let's see, 24.8. We're at 16. Oh, I didn't close that engine controller, the little plastic thing. So we got about 10,000 feet to go. I'm going to reset my heading bug, and 7,000 feet is going to be my new altitude. Now I can only change this in increments of 1,000 feet. I don't know how you change it beyond there, but you know, that seems to be the problem. You can only change things in certain increments. Let's go ahead and make the map a little bit bigger. There's IGN. So that's the Kingston VOR, and this is now 25 miles out. So we can go ahead and do another quick round of math. We are at 16,000 feet. So 16,000 feet. And we want to be at 7,000 feet at crank. Okay, times 3 divided by 1,000. Again, this is just the fast and dirty way. We need 27 miles to do this. There are other ways to figure it out. So we have, let's see, 24, 8, and 8. So we probably ought to start thinking about starting that descent down. Let's go over here, and we're going to do vertical speed again. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that should be about 800 feet per minute. About now, we're also getting close. It's 15,000 feet. ATC about 280 to 270 is usually what we'll have on a VATSIM event like this. The map itself gets a little bit messy, so you could probably do airports at this point and kind of clean it up a little bit and then make the map one click bigger. And that way you're going to kind of see your approach. So crank is about 50 miles out. So at 800 feet per minute, that's probably not bad at our current speed. So crank is right here on the line, actually. So maybe let's descend a little bit less. How about 600 feet per minute? Crank's right there. Let's put that right on the line and see how we do. And then the other thing is when you get a chance, Microsoft Flight Simulator, the scenery is so awesome. Now is the time to go outside your sim, have a look. You know, if you wake up in the morning sometimes, you have a bad day or, you know, didn't sleep well, start your airplane up like this, put it on autopilot, look outside the window. If you're an airplane geek, and you probably are because you're here, I mean, just looking outside, if we were doing this flight right now, that's pretty close to what it would be looking like here at about 16,000 feet. Really an awesome experience. We'll leave it at 270 knots as we continue our nice gentle descent. Crank is now 50 miles away. The little green line is floating at about 40 miles is when we're going to get there. So not so bad. Let's go ahead and do seat belts. One of the next things that I'll be doing is starting to look up checklists for this airplane. And one of the things I'll look for is a generic checklist that I could print out. So especially for a VATSIM event, if I were going to do, like yesterday, we did CalScream on VATSIM and I was in the 737. So I'll actually try and find something that you could print out like this and use it the way the real world pilots would. So here is an A300 that I've gone and printed out and put in a little plastic thing. If you're in a busy VATSIM event and you're just going and going and going and going and you've forgotten, did I do this or not? So, I mean, like this is the actual checklist that I saw the Lufthansa cargo pilots using on that cockpit video that I learned about MD-11s on. I mean, this is almost exactly, it looks like exactly what they were doing. And so that way you just don't forget stuff. And so one of the things is because I can see using this particular airplane on VATSIM events, I'm going to want to try and find just a printed checklist, unless we're going to get a really good checklist here. If these checklists show up and they're really good, then I'll use this like I'm doing on the ATR and using the electronic checklist that the ATR has, which is really good. So that'll be an option too. It depends on how good that checklist is. Okay, crank is getting a little bit closer. 13,000 feet. We're doing pretty good, but I think we're going to hit 7,000 feet at crank, which means that the air traffic controllers will not be cranky with me. And there is your bad joke for the flight. Now, one of the things is let's say all of a sudden ATC said United 441 direct to Schiff or Schaff, which is the waypoint after crank. At that point in time, we're kind of messed up here because direct twos are not very good in this airplane at the moment. And in fact, every time I've attempted to do that, it hasn't been good. So what would we do if all of a sudden that happened and we were on VATSIM? The best thing that I could do is go to heading mode and do it manually. Or as a famous television commentator, well, infamous, I think, said, we'll do it live. So that's about the best thing that we could do, really, at the moment. Now, my guess is that that's on the list of things that they want to fix, but there you go. We are approaching 10,000 feet here. As we get closer to that, remember, we're going to want to be below 250 knots. So we don't get a speeding ticket. And all of this is good there. My cockpit door is unlocked at the moment, because I'm always hopeful that the flight attendants will come in and give us a free pizza and beer. The cabin is actually really nicely done. So this is really kind of what it looks like. This is I was a passenger on one of these twice. So it's got a first class section, 3, 2 on one side, 3 on the other. The other thing I really will say that I like about this is, back here in steerage where I usually have to sit, it's 2 and 2. It's not 3 and 3. There's none of the dreaded middle seats, which nobody likes. So that's actually really pretty cool. I appreciate that one quite a bit. So this is an airplane that if I had to fly as a commuter run, I'd be very happy to be a passenger in this. I'm over 6 feet. The CRJ is just not a good fit for an over 6 foot person. Got a fairly nice galley. The coffee's already set up, so I think that they did a nice job of modeling the airplane. Nothing, I don't think, in the lavatories. I don't think you can go into the can. Yep, can't go in there. FlyJSim over on X-Planes set the standard with lavatories with the door open and you can flush. And there's that closed there. Let's see, I think that this is the jump seat. I don't know that the jump seat... Oh, look at that, the jump seat does work. And from what I understand, jump seats are wickedly brutal. Oh, look at that. It just sort of flops up over on the side there. How about that? Okay, how we doing on our descent? Let's see. We are 12,000 feet. Let's click the map in 1. Okay, so there's Flossie. Crank is right here at 25 miles. There's 25 miles. So our descent's pretty good, but if we want to hit it, I'm going to go ahead and do 2 clicks here and start our descent at 1,000 feet per minute. Let's also start reducing our speed a bit. And I do those again on these descents in increments of 10. That way the airplane just doesn't do this screech to a halt kinds of things. And it also maintains, your descent rate too, fairly controlled. So 260 knots is looking good. We've got speeds for landing. And we are direct to Flossie and then Crank, passing 1,100. So Crank is now a little less than 25 miles. We're supposed to hit 7,000 feet, right about there. So far, so good. So far, so good. Nothing really to worry about here. I don't believe that you arm the speed brakes. You just pull them out for landing, but you can go and do auto brakes. I'm going to do, let's see. So we're coming in on runway 4 right. And if we look at the map for 4 right, you can see that when we touch down here, we're going to want to get off here at Juliet. So I'm going to guess that probably auto brakes low with a little reverse is going to do us. I don't have the actual numbers yet on how much braking you get with those. Coming up on 10,000 feet, we need another 10 knots of speed. So 250 is our speed at 10,000 feet. So I don't think we're right on the line for speeding. And also at 10,000 feet, we're going to do landing lights. We're going to do sterile cockpit, cabin call, and not bad. Now, we do have a little green dot that has appeared here. I believe that is our first flap. And in fact, if you take a look, flaps 1 is 230 knots. Flaps 2 is 215. That's about 215. So that's pretty good. Landing gear extension speed, we could throw that out at 250. There is Flossie. Crank is about halfway there. We may need another click here just so that we can try and hit that. So now about 1,200 feet per minute. And now let's come on down here, and I'm going to do another click of the map in. So Crank is now 12 miles. We're supposed to hit 7,000 feet a little bit before that. So our descent continues, and it's going good. Altimeters are checked and set. Auto brakes are set. Speed brakes in case we need them. And there is Flossie. So crank is 10 miles out, 8,000 feet. We're going to hit this one pretty good. ATC may call us now and say speed 230. They will sometimes slow us down a bit. You saw how we zoomed out a little bit. If you've got the zoom set up on your thumb wheel, your mouse wheel, if you can see that if you just barely move these things, so their click zones could be a little bit bigger maybe. And we are 500 feet away, almost to crank. I'm going to reset my heading bug again. On the approach, afterwards, we're going to look here. So Flossie. So there's Flossie, there's crank. This is our last altitude. So as we come on down here, we can go to 4,000 feet. Looks like 4,000 at Hawker. And then 180 knots for vectors. And as we vector ourselves around to Dewan, it's 1,700. We're not going to be able to do that, so 2,000 is as close as we're going to get. We've also got the ILS pre-tuned, and that's good. Let's do another quick refresh of this. Information Alpha. Information Alpha is still current, so the weather is not changing, so that's perfect too. And there's 7,000 feet. Actually, this thing says 6,000. I said 7,000. But we made it. So why does that say 6? I don't understand. Let's reset the heading bug. Okay, the heading bug did not reset. There it is. And let's do speed now to 110. And that puts us below that little dot. Descend and maintain 5,000. So vertical speed, let's do about 800 feet per minute. And there is that little dot there. So we'll wait until we get just a touch slower. And how about flaps 2? There goes our flaps. And we got some leading edge slats should start going out just a bit. And our descent is going pretty good too. All right, so after that, we are doing half and sacks and going to 5,000 feet. Again, VAP is 128. I'm going to make it probably about 135 just because. Everything else is looking good. And this is probably pretty much what it looks like as you're coming in. Whenever you get a chance, go look at the map. So there's Lemur. I don't really have any. There's Montgomery, Orange County. There's New York Stewart Airport as we come in on the approach. So, Sax is Sparta. Okay. So we're coming up on that VOR. Another really great way to be a nice little tourist on these flights is to use like Sim Toolkit Pro or Volanta, and that's going to give you town names and maybe even a few bigger lake names and stuff like that, which is really kind of nice. So if you want to be a little more touristy and see, what it is you're flying over. I see we just flew past Finnegan's Corner. Who doesn't want to go and visit Finnegan's Corner? I do notice that when things are a little bit on the choppy side and stuff, this airplane does bounce about quite a bit. So I've got the turbulence option turned on here, so we definitely bounce around. I also found that it's really easy to lose control on the runways when you're landing. So we're descending to 5,000 feet at 210 knots. Let's see, let's go over here. I'm going to make the map one click bigger, see how we're doing. There's our approach coming on in. So all that looks good. After SACS, we'll let it go down to 4,000. As we approach 5,000 feet, and all is right with the world. Let's see, I believe I got this through Aerosoft. Aerosoft does have a updater, downloader kind of a thing. So that's where I'll go and look for my first updates. So maybe in a couple of weeks, I'll go and sign on to the Aerosoft updater and see if there's anything there. So this is what the Aerosoft updater looks like. Friedrichshafen is listed as an airport for me for Microsoft Flight Simulator. But I don't see this airplane. Maybe this is not the right one. Maybe I should have used SimMarket. Let's see if did I get it through SimMarket? Oh, there's been a update in SimMarket. And did I have an update there? Let's see. There is an update for Topper. Topper is the 737 calculator, fixed wind input bug, updated aviation data. There is a new user interface. So I got to go and get that one soon. But that's the only one. So I don't think that there's an update, at least not in my world. Not in the world where I would be updating stuff. Okay, there's SACS. But I'll keep an eye out and see what the latest update is on this. And I have a feeling it will keep getting better and more fun. We're right at 5,000 feet. We are 4 miles from SACS. Sparta. It's the Sparta VOR. Although SACS is probably a little more entertaining. And we're starting to see, well, we got some pretty nice lakes out here. We'll see the population density, the houses and stuff really start to increase before too long. The settings that I have on the flight simulator are all basically, in Microsoft Flight Simulator, the top setting is Ultra. My setting is one below Ultra, and it's pretty much across the board. Those are all of the settings that I use. Okay, there's SACS. Let's go ahead and descend and maintain 4,000. And again, I'm using vertical speed to do this. And we'll go down about 500 feet per minute. 210 knots. As we start to make our turn in here, this is when I'm going to go and get to 180 for the turn. Especially a tight turn like that, you're going to want 180 for sure. And Filbo. So one more click of this map should do us there. We may also want to go and go from nav mode to heading mode as we approach this, as we come on in. So that's one of the reasons that I always like to go and reset my heading bug. So here we all are at SACS, and on the ILS, the airplane should start appear coming on in here as we loop-de-loop around here, and we'll come in and pick it up at Dewan, so that's going to be 2,000 feet at Dewan. In an airplane like this, I really do, keep your moving maps up from Navigraph. That's going to help you out a lot. Make sure that you're where you're supposed to be. We are definitely getting bounced about here. Did we have, is this a turbulent area today? Let's see. Let's do KEWR. Do we have turbulence around Newark? So let's go over here, go to layers, and what do we have for turbulence? Well, not an awful lot where we are here around the Newark airport. Are there segments coming up for this? Nope, nothing much there. Satellite, it shows it mostly clear. Nope, there's not much. It's just normal bouncing around, I guess. Okay, we're going to go, and what I'm going to do, just because I guess I'm being a control freak here, is after Hoker, I'm going to go and do, manual heading mode. Airport's out here somewhere. And this is all looking good. And heading bug again. Can't do that too many times. If you are new to the channel, usually every week or so I try and put a complete flight like this over here on YouTube. Not sure what else to be doing with YouTube. I am still really new here on YouTube, so still to the point where I read all the comments and questions and suggestions. If you've got a suggestion for what you think I should be doing here on the YouTube channel, but I do the live streaming right now over on Twitch. We fly, group flights are Tuesday through Sunday. Our departure time is 1900 Zulu. Summertime, daylight savings time, that's 3 o'clock Eastern time in the US. Usually the first flight is in multiplayer, so we all get a chance to visit, check in, ask questions, answer questions. All of that information is available on the SPY Discord, link in the description, of course. And then we, after that first flight, we usually get about 3 flights a day in, and usually after that we head on over and start doing some VATSIM stuff. So that's kind of what it is that we do here over on Twitch. I also recently launched a Patreon, which is where I'll do a more advanced flight briefing for the flight that we're going to do later on that day on Twitch. So if you're liking what you're seeing, I'm still new, so I'm still very, very grateful for likes and shares. Also, if you feel like it more, a subscription would be awesome too. If you really like this, I will also use this as an opportunity to say a huge thank you to my donors on Patreon and also on Ko-fi, the secret agents, the special agents, and the 00s over on Patreon. Also, a massive, huge thank you for the Twitch subscribers. As I like to say, you are all the jet fuel in my flight plan, and I can't say thank you enough for making the SPY flight go. So any kind of support like that it's how it is that I'm surviving in tough economic times and everything else. So thank you for being the jet fuel in the flight plan. Okay, we are direct to Hoker now. So heading select, I'm going to go to heading mode now. I'm also going to come on down here and let's go to the radio page. And 108.7, that is our ILS. So I'm going to flip-flop the frequencies to 108.7. We're also going to go over here and go to the VL button, and that puts us on localizer 1. And the inbound course is 039 degrees, and now we should be able to adjust that. 039. Course 039. Come on. 0. Well, I think it pre-adjusted itself, didn't it? 0, and of course it's going to zoom out on me. Nope, not that. The course bug. 039. Okay, our course heading is now set, so that's looking pretty good. And we are on heading hold mode, so that's looking good too. Descend and maintain. How about, let's just chill here for a little bit more. Let's also go ahead and reduce our speed just a bit. How about 200 knots? Seeing a little bit of wing flex out there too, so there is definitely some bouncing about going on. And there's that little user checkpoint. Okay, there is that little waypoint in there called Kilma. And then we're coming in here at Duin. So there's the checkpoint there at Duin. Gritty is 3,000 feet. So there's Gritty. We're at 4,000 right now. And so we could go ahead and how about if we turn in for the runway a little. And you can only do these again in increments of 10. So I'm kind of being careful about the way I do my turns and giving myself plenty of room. So there's that little user checkpoint and then Wilma, or Kilma, I guess. And as we get ready to do these, I'm going to do another 10 on my speed. And that's my 100, that's 190. 180 is usually what they do when they turn you to final. And descend and maintain 3,000. Vertical speed and down gently. How about 700 feet per minute? How about another 10 knots? And there's our 180 for our turn. That looks pretty good. How about heading select? Let's come on into 150 or as close as we can. And there's our turn in there. And, oh, wow, the scenery's starting to pick up a bit. And this gets us all set for our turn to final. Looking good so far. 12 miles is probably pretty good. We do have indications for localizer and now glide slope, so that's pretty cool. How about let's bring on our heading select. And let's try and go as close as we can direct to Gritty. And Gritty, again, is 3,000 feet. We're descending to 3,000 feet, so that should help us snag the glide slope and localizer. Landing gear. There goes wheels. And wheels are looking pretty good. Let's see. Flaps are probably good for the moment. We're going to get a little bit closer to Gritty here. So let's do one more click of the map. So as we get a little closer to Gritty, that's when we'll start to turn our way in and then hit the approach button and see how lucky we are. There's 3,000 feet. Make sure it stops us there. It did. Not bad. Prelocate the approach button. There's the approach button right there. That looks good. And now we're passing that checkpoint Kilma. A little bit closer here, and I'm just eyeballing these things at the moment. Let's go and do our heading select, and we're going to try and get it over and turn us to Gritty. There we go. That's about as close as we're going to get there. Holding 3,000 feet. We are 16 miles away from localizer 1. Okay, glide slope just popped up there too. I think now's the perfect time to arm the approach. Again, remind us of our speeds. VAP 128, I'm going to call it 130 or so. And now the airplane appears to be turning us just a little bit here. And if you also feel like it, check over here. It looks like all is right with the world. There's Gritty right there. Now I'm going to zoom this map in and make it nice and tight. Shove it off to the side. That's what I'll use for my map, for my ground chart. Now's the perfect time if you move around in your gamer chair, like I do, do a posture check, get ready to go and use your controllers. Okay, glide slope is now starting to come down. So localizer is now green. So it is now setting up for the localizer. Glide slope is white. That means it's armed. I'm going to reset this heading bug. I'm not going to take it, but just I like to keep the heading bug reset and maybe make the map one click bigger now that we're all set. Glide slope continues to drop. Localizer is armed, so I'm going to assume that it's going to snag our localizer for us. Got a little bit more flap out. Got some landing gear out. And quick reminder, we're going to the end of the Charlie concourse, so we're looking for Juliet. And glide slope is now armed. We have started to go drop down, and we're going to watch localizer as it slowly inches over and make sure that it turns us in. We are coming up on Dewan, and at Dewan, that's when I'm going to do slow it down, because usually they'll say 180 knots until 5 miles DME. That's about 5 miles DME from the runway, so that's when we start to slow it down. The airplane is slowly kind of turning us in. I have the airport, I have the runway. So speed, this is close enough to doing. How about 135 for our landing speed? There's 150. I'm going to call it 135. I don't know if this is one of those airplanes where you like to add a little bit, but I do that. Another notch of flaps. There's 170 knots. I'm also going to go ahead and see if there is a wind arrow indicating where the wind's coming from. It's not too windy though today. There's our wind arrow ahead and to the right, about 10 knots. And there's 160. Another click of the flaps. Over the bridges. And flaps are now full. Gear is down 3 green. Auto brakes are set. Speed brakes are manual. If we were on VATSIM and they just kicked us over to tower, the last things that I would be doing is looking to see if there is a ground control frequency. If ground control is up, at that point in time, I'm going to go and I'm going to preset my ground control frequency and remind myself, okay, we're exiting to the left. At that point in time, it's now time for autopilot's off. Silence the alarm and fly the approach. Winds are still from the left blowing us to the right. It's hard to see because it's kind of small, but I'm also using the glide slope indicator just to help me stay up to date on how we're doing on our descent. We were a little high. Use a little bit of trim to help out. It is definitely bouncy today. As we get closer to the runway, I'll disengage the auto throttle and manage my own speed. This is not like an Airbus, which it will manage you all the way to the ground and then you pull the throttles off 30 feet above the runway. Auto throttles are off.
200.
And hopefully we have a nice landing.
100. 50, 40, 30, 20, 10, 5.
Reverse. And we're getting scenery load hesitations, which is really annoying for pilots. And auto throttles, auto brakes off. Thrust reverse is over. And we're coming up on our first high speed. And that, I believe, is the one we want. Minus 306. Well, it's not great, not terrible. And off on the high speed, flaps up. Welcome to Newark. Landing lights. Strobes. And more scenery hesitations, manual braking. Crossing 4 left. APU. There we go. There's the APU. Juliet is there. And gate 99. Looks good. So let's see, as we cross Juliet, our gate is all the way here at the end. So I'm going to guess that we're going to want to do a little bit of the circular. Maybe they would bring us in on this inner taxiway. So let's grab Alpha. There's Alpha. So we're going to make a turn to the left and then a jump to the right. And of course, you had to have a Rocky Horror Picture Show reference too. This airport really is a nice airport. I think this is, I'm really starting to forget who does these great sceneries. I think this is the Dr. Z, but it is so nice. And we are coming into this gate here. So there's 95. This is also an area where they do the commuters. And I think that's our gate right there. And of course, the big post is right in the middle. Yep, it even says 99. There it is, Charlie 99. I haven't read enough about one-engine taxis yet. No gate guidance coming in yet, so best thing you can do, just come outside the airplane and just have a look on in. That's probably it right there. Parking brakes are off. APU is up and running. So we'll come down here and we'll do off and off. There goes fuel. Let's go to standby on the transponder. Let's see. Did those lights? I never got the nose lights going. Seatbelts and sterile cockpit can go off. Let's see. The red beacon can go off. And then you do the electric pump A. That goes off on this thing too. And if we come out here, we could probably get GSX. If we're really nice, it would select parking at Newark. So we did not park in a great spot here to be able to do this. Gate C, let's see if 99 is going to show up here. Charlie 99. No, look at that. Charlie 99 does not show up at GSX. So the passengers are going to have to jump. Maybe I didn't go forward enough. It could be. The last thing that I'm going to do is go ahead and take a look at how the flight did. I'm going to complete the flight. Review the flight. So we all care about landing rate and stuff like that. The big thing that I'm worrying about though is my touchdown point. How did I do on that one before I get all crazy about the landing rate? So we'll turn this around. Okay, definitely touched down a little bit early. I pulled my power out so we were coming down, but we touched down in an okay place. And my landing rate was minus 274 on Volanta. 306 was my landing rate as far as flow was concerned, but we made it. Nobody was hurt. Nobody was arrested. Welcome to Newark. And like I said, this airplane needs improvement, but it is a fun airplane, and I have been absolutely having a blast with this. It's also fun to go and learn a new airplane. As I always like to say about my flights over here on YouTube, I am a private pilot. I can fly a Cessna 152, a 172, and a Cardinal. Okay, I am not a big jet pilot, so this is not about the right way versus the wrong way. This is merely about what is working for me. And as you can see, generally this flight worked pretty good. I'm still new on YouTube. I read all the comments and the questions. I am so grateful for you taking the time to watch this. I hope that this helps you with your flights. And I will look forward to seeing you again in about a week here on YouTube. I will see you even sooner, probably by tomorrow, at least when I'm recording this, over on Twitch, and I hope you'll join us there. As always, though, I like to say stay healthy and stay safe, and we'll see you in the friendly sim skies. Cheers.